It's 5:30. This is our April 17th Bowling Green, Warren County Planning Commission. Matthew, if you'd call the roll, please, sir.
Commissioner Drain? Commissioner Gay?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Vitale? Commissioner Volker?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, in your package, you had the March 20th meeting. Are there any questions? Hearing none, it would call for a motion, please.
Move that the minutes be approved.
Second.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
Commissioner Volker?
Abstain.
Commissioner Drain?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gay?
Abstain.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, you have the subdivision site development plans in your packet, and are there any questions regarding those? All right, hearing none. Mr. Peterson, we have new business?
No, sir.
Any old business?
Yes, sir.
So we will enter into our public hearing tonight, and Mr. Moore?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Warren, I request that you order that the record tonight include all the relevant statutory and regulatory provisions, the commission's entire file for each application on tonight's docket, and the qualifications of the staff witnesses who testify. Finally, I'd ask that you'd administer the oath to those witnesses.
Y'all swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. All right. Our first item tonight is 2025-13Z County Cook Properties LLC, care of Donnie and Nick Cook. They filed an application to rezone 10.10 acres located on the northern side of Willoughby Lane at its intersection with Morgantown Road from Ag to Highway Business and RM3 Townhouse Multifamily Residential with a General Development Plan. Rachel?
Yes, sir. Bear with me here. Thank you very much for waiting. Jumping into the presentation for the first application here. We had a pre-application meeting back in March for the property you see in the concept plan located on Willoughby Lane, just off of Morgantown Road. And the applicants are proposing to rezone roughly 10 acres from Ag to Highway Business and RM3 in order to develop the property with a fuel station and convenience store, self-service storage units, and a 72 multifamily unit development toward the rear. This is the aerial view of the property, and then you can see the current zoning, as I mentioned, is agriculture. The current land use is ag and vacant, and the future land use map is mixed-use residential. We'll scroll through the property photos. We can come back to these as needed. And then we'll leave the concept plan up for reference. In the staff's review, we found that the proposal complied with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and found the proposal to be generally compatible with the surrounding area. We do have a few points for your consideration at the bottom of page 1. The first we're going to touch on is the transportation-related improvements. If we turn to page 4, under the traffic analysis section, the applicants did agree to some but not all of the required improvements in their development plan conditions that were requested by the transportation agencies. I think it's simply just like a cleanup with the wording that they've included in their development plan conditions. The first relates to installation of a right turn lane from Morgantown Road onto Willoughby Lane. The applicants didn't specify who the responsible party for this improvement would be. And then they have also stated that turning movements from Morgantown Road onto Willoughby Lane shall be coordinated with and approved by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. But again, they didn't actually specify that the developer would be the one providing that. So those are probably just a couple of items that the applicant can address here in just a minute. Next, looking at loss of prime farmland, on page 2, you'll see that we've noted that the entire development area is classified as prime farmland. And then we did have an item on the hours of operation. So if you turn to page 3 under the surrounding land uses, you'll see that the applicants are proposing unlimited hours of operation for any fuel station, and otherwise operating hours will be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And staff does note a concern regarding the unlimited hours of operation for any fuel station due to the proximity of the existing and planned residential uses, because there's no requirement that the proposed fuel station be developed in the location shown on the attached preliminary development plan. And then we did question the hours of operation for the self-storage facility because these types of facilities generally have 24-hour access, 7 days a week. I believe they may want to speak to that just in a couple of minutes here. Then next, looking at the signage, also on page 3, staff has noted that little freestanding signage currently exists along Willoughby Lane, and existing freestanding signs are no more than 8 feet in height, with a maximum sign face area of around 32 square feet. The existing freestanding signage is non-illuminated, and the applicants are not proposing to limit the signage in the instance of any fuel station. Under the zoning ordinance, that would permit up to 30 feet in height for a freestanding sign with a maximum sign face area of 150 square feet. And for any other commercial use, the applicants are proposing that freestanding signage be monument style, not to exceed 15 feet in height, with a maximum sign face area of 150 square feet. And the proposed sign face area is nearly 5 times the maximum sign face area identified along Willoughby Lane, and there is no restriction on the location of any freestanding signage in the case of a fuel station use. And the applicants have not limited lighting for signage along Willoughby Lane. And then last, looking at the open space, that starts at the bottom of page 3. We've just noted that the minimum amount of open space required by the zoning ordinance in the RM3 zone for the multifamily area is 20%. And the applicants did not address any additional open space requirements for this portion of the development, and there are no formal open space areas or amenities that are planned to serve the residents of that portion of the development, and there are no sidewalks or recreational facilities in the area that would be accessible to future residents. So those are our points for your consideration. Other than that, I believe that is all for the staff report. Our recommendation is for approval pending public hearing testimony and discussion. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rachel. Commissioners, I think we'll hear from the applicant here in a minute, but is there any questions for staff?
So Rachel, the one question on the signage, the fuel station would, we don't have anything comparable to a fuel station already there, correct?
Correct. There are, if you go further toward town on Morgantown Road, I know there's at least one other fuel station to the east.
So what would a comparable sign size be for, if you move a little further and get something along those lines?
The zoning ordinance, as I had mentioned, would be around 30 feet max with 150 square feet of sign face area, and I do think that that would be comparable to some of the existing signage on Morgantown Road, but that's why we had that note for your consideration, that there's nothing that requires that their freestanding sign be placed closer to Morgantown Road, so that's why that concern was
So part
noted.
of it is placement then?
Yes.
And then the monument style would be for the other, let's call it businesses,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Very good.
Self-storage.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, any other questions for staff? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Is the applicant or the representative here?
Good evening. Gaines Penn, 1840 Highway 185, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Can you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of Cook Properties, the owner and developer of this property. Rachel did her normal excellent job. I don't have a whole lot to add, and I won't burden your plate with a lot of extraneous comments. I just want to address a couple of points. One being the development plan conditions, the operating hours related to the highway business section. As the development plan conditions were revised over the process or the time of this application, we had originally put in there office operating hours for the self-storage office would be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and on Saturdays, 9 to noon. The staff made a good suggestion that we shouldn't just limit it to self-storage in case that's not what ends up there. But in the process of revising that, I'd put just general office, or excuse me, I put in commercial and retail businesses, and I didn't limit it to the office. We need to limit it to the office because if it is a self-storage facility, people are going to go and come through those secured gates over the course of, any time basically to get to their unit. So we'd make that request. And then with regard to the signage,
So, Gaines, hold on one second.
Yeah,
I want to make sure
not lining
I
up,
want to make sure I
yeah.
understand this right. Are you saying for the office hours, you want to limit them to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then from 9 to noon on Saturday?
Right.
For the office hours,
For the self-storage.
yes, sir,
just the self-storage?
just that, right.
So how do we address, though, the access when they're coming in and out? Do we do that? Is that a separate?
Well, that would be, that would just be self-storage and,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's not something I think you would address.
Got it. That
Only
makes sense.
suggestion I would make to you, I would make it 8 to 6. I don't know who's building it, what's building it, and, I'd hate for you to, pin yourself in like that. And on the same on Saturdays, I would put it 8 to 2 or something. I hate for you to, Rachel, is that bad?
No, not necessarily. I think our main concern was that if you're getting so specific as to the hours related to the use that's shown on this concept plan, if for some reason the hours of operation are tied only to the office for a self-storage facility, then in essence, there would be no restrictions for another use that may locate there.
Okay.
So we had suggested that the development plan condition be less specific to a use, but just to the property itself,
Yes.
which is what has happened. But I think if we're gonna make exclusions for self-storage, then maybe it's, as worded, it says except for fuel stations, and then you could say, and self-storage facilities.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I was thinking, even if it becomes, and maybe I'm not reading it correctly, another kind of office, I hate to say you can't open your office to 9 a.m.
Sure, no, I get your point there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even, because, you do something like that and you're liable to have somebody that says, wait a minute, they've opened up early, they can't do that according to their DPCs.
Right.
And Gaines, you get no objection from if you do 8 to 6
8
or
to
something
6.
like that?
Okay, that'd be great. Well, I appreciate these comments, that's very helpful. Should I wordsmith this with HAMP? Or
Well, we got a couple more.
Yeah, let's go through them if you
Yeah.
want, and then we'll come back and you guys can,
With regard to the signage, this is right on the edge of the on-ramp to I-165. We're happy to comply with the sign ordinance as it's existing, but we don't really want to restrict the sign for the gas station to the extent that it's going to be right there, and there's really nothing else around it. If it's a matter of placing it, I'm sure we're open to that, but.
I think it's more placement, if I understand, Gaines.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a question for staff.
Yes, that was our concern, at least for the signage proposed for the fuel station.
Yeah, and check with your client, but you guys probably already know where you want it. If we could just be more specific on the location.
Really?
Pardon me?
What was the comment?
He said, Mr. Cook is not sure where the developer of the gas station wants to put the sign, that's why.
But we're here tonight, we have to kind of decide,
Right.
Gaines, where, that it's in compliance. We can't leave it open.
Sure. Well, can I touch base
Yeah,
on this?
sure,
Yeah, that's
sure,
right, let's do that. thinking maybe the ideal location would be in the corner down there to where Willoughby, the corner of Morgantown Road and Little, yeah. Yeah, closest to where the,
Yeah.
I guess the mosque corner is, right?
Yes.
Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, and
To allow a little bit of flexibility
I was
there.
gonna
would
say,
you-
give him some
would-
latitude.
Would you want to, if you would be willing to commit between the southern corner and the first entrance on Willoughby Lane, somewhere in that?
Yeah, somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
and that
Span.
that gives your client latitude,
Yeah, that's-
and
that
that's
sounds
all
great.
we need to know is it's gonna be up there somewhere.
Yeah, we don't want to stick it someplace where it's
Right.
offensive, so yeah, that's great.
Okay, so,
We've got the open space.
I'll tell you what, let's turn our attention real quick to those couple of cleanups. I know this is your intent or your client's intent. Let's talk about that right turn lane. Who does it? It's gonna be done by the developer.
Yeah, I mean, I just dropped in the express language from the traffic, or the
That's all
transportation
right.
cabinet. I didn't.
So Rachel, what do we need to specify there?
So
We just add,
paragraph, in DPC number 1, installation by developer of the right turn lane from, and then down in DPC number 5, coming down, that's first sentence, turning movements from Morgantown Road onto Willoughby Lane shall be coordinated by the developer with and approved by the Kentucky Transportation.
That's fine.
and then that'll get us, has that got everything until we get to the residential portion?
The open space.
Open space, okay. And so, let me ask this question of staff first. What, they don't have any amenities and they don't have any open space. What are their, they have to commit to 20%, correct?
Yes, 20% green space.
Okay.
There's no restriction on if that's in a drainage facility or not, or what that has to.
So what
Include.
was your client's intent, Gaines?
Well, one thing I'd point out to you on this drawing is that up in the corner, I guess it's the top left-hand corner, there's a utility line that goes across there, and that's going to require it to remain open. So that's a lot of the open space. We feel confident that we're going to meet the 20%.
Okay.
But this type of development, the business model really doesn't allow for a whole lot of open space or amenities. And Mr. Cook can address that specifically if you want to get into that.
But I think what Mr. Graham was saying, that you all would agree, even with the utility lines, to a 20% open space.
I think we have to. I mean, that's,
Chair Warren, they don't have to agree to that. That's just the minimum that's required by the
Okay,
ordinance.
excuse
Yeah.
me.
They'll
Thank you.
have to meet that,
Yeah.
whether they commit to it
Okay.
or
that's
not.
why I didn't put it in there, because we already have to.
So would it be customary to have sidewalks that connect the two spaces, or no? Or you said, did I hear you correctly? It said it doesn't have any sidewalks?
Correct. We were just noting that in this area, because sometimes we've seen multifamily developments where they're not really providing amenities in the development itself, but there might be sidewalks and a park nearby where the residents still have access to some sort of recreational facility. So that's why we had just noted that there really aren't any types of facilities like that in this area.
But this development would have to have a sidewalk, correct?
No, not necessarily.
No,
No?
typically there's sidewalks like between the parking and the building. But as far as we're not installing a public street here, so you wouldn't be installing sidewalks like you would think in the sense of.
Interesting.
We will require sidewalks
Yeah.
along Willoughby Lane.
That's what I was
down
saying,
to
yeah, yeah.
Morgantown Road.
So we'll have them along Willoughby Lane. They'll have to do that, right?
Correct,
Okay.
So there'll be a sidewalk from the eightplexes to the gas station.
correct. And then there's future plans by the Highway Department and/or Greenways to have a greenway extended out Morgantown Road as well.
Okay.
Hold on a second. When, in the transportation improvements, there's nothing in that section that requires sidewalks. The county is just requiring that it be widened.
It's in the subdivision regulations. Well,
Well, It is, but
See, that's what I thought. I thought in the subdivision regulations, it's going to require it anyway.
it is when you're doing new construction of a new street, but Willoughby Lane's existing. So when we reviewed this through CDR, the Comprehensive Development Review Process, when the transportation agencies weighed in, the improvements that they're requiring are what are listed on page 4.
Well, I'll just state in this meeting here that you're gonna be requested that during the comprehensive development review process, and we'll be requesting sidewalks along Willoughby Lane. We did discuss that at the MPO, and that will be required.
So would it be appropriate to go ahead and ask Gaines to include that in the DPCs here?
Sure.
Just now we got a commitment and we know we got it.
If it's going to be, you're saying it's,
Yeah, I think it's going to be required anyway, and now we got it covered.
you're talking about on the side of the road, those sidewalks?
Yes.
See, if you were doing a new development,
Yeah, we'd have.
and Donnie knows this, he'd have to put sidewalks in anyway. And I don't want to speak for him, but he probably was thinking sidewalks already, somewhere in here. No, he was not.
Well, just from a planning perspective, it makes zero sense to build residential to not be able to walk down to the.
Right, that's what I was,
The convenience store.
Ben, you said you're gonna request it. Can y'all require it?
I believe we can, yes.
Yes.
Pretty confident in that.
Perfect.
so I think it's now or later.
I think my guy wants to do later, but
All right?
Well, I think we're talking about now.
Well, I always go ahead and put it in.
It would clean it up for us if we go ahead and put it in the DPCs.
So that would be DPC number 16.
Yes.
Yes.
So to clarify, this would be only on their property
That's
side of the
correct.
road,
That's
and
correct.
as those developments develop, would they be required?
He would only have to start with the multifamily part, right? Or would he just go ahead and put it all?
All three properties.
Okay.
Right.
okay. Our engineer raised a valid concern about the safety part of the sidewalks going all the way out to Morgantown Road. We don't really think that you want people trying to cross Morgantown Road from that point, because it's not really set up for any type of crossing mechanism. But we would propose that the sidewalks be put on on our property, on the side of Willoughby Lane, from the RM3 up to the point where it touches the gas station property. That way, there'd be some connectivity between the lots.
I think that's what we're talking about, right?
Correct, yes, it'd just be
Yeah.
from that southern corner where we talked about the sign, all the way back to the
Well, we were
northern
thinking more along the way,
property
the northern part of the gas station.
Rachel, could we laser that specific location on
Yeah,
the
here,
drawing so that we'll know?
north
Yeah.
property line all the way to the south property line along Willoughby Lane on that east side.
Well,
I'll borrow this real quick. So Ben is proposing from the multifamily development all the way down to this bottom corner here, not to the northern property corner. That's what Ben's describing.
It could stop at the curve, but wherever it makes sense.
Yeah.
well,
And only on their property side, right?
On the east side.
Right.
well,
Correct.
our suggestion is up here where it's on the RM3, the sidewalk should come down across the self-storage and in closer up here, because you really don't want, I mean, that's all going to be paved anyway, and I don't really think you want people walking across the gas station out onto Morgantown Road any more than you absolutely have to. I'm not a safety engineer, but that's our request.
That would not make any sense to us at all, but.
Well, my position is, if you want to promote connectivity between the different uses, that connects all three uses.
Well, if it stops at the,
I think the,
Yeah.
I mean, what Ben is saying, it'll take the sidewalk down, so if the person needs to go to the gas station up front, they've got a sidewalk to walk. I mean, if they stop it at that corner, then they're just walking through a parking lot. Why not keep the sidewalk going down and around, and then you have them there at the gas station?
Yeah.
Even if it's entirely paved, you're going to have a specific entrance. It's not like it's going to be paved, all the way out to the street, right? There's going to be some space there. So there's still, even though that whole area might be paved as a sidewalk, it doesn't mean that it's all, just the whole section is going to be paved all the way out to the street. There's going to be a place to enter, place to exit, that sort of thing.
Again, there's no curb and gutter, okay, on Morgantown Road or Woolsey Lane. So we've got ditch lines to contend with in a rural area like that. It's not
Got
like
it.
it's in the city or so forth. So you're gonna have a cut. And the county wants us to widen the road about 4 foot on each side. That's gonna put us into some of the ditch line. When we do that, it's gonna throw that sidewalk up pretty high. So, I mean, that's, be able to get it down where we need to get it.
So I hadn't thought about,
You come off the curb and gutter, shoot your shot, level your sidewalk, do your HD at your handicap.
do you mind coming up, Donnie?
Yes.
Just so we got the record right.
Donnie, let's swear you in.
Yes, sir.
So you don't have,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
your name,
Donnie Cook,
address.
2646 Small House Road.
Thank you, Donnie. You swear to tell the truth.
I do.
All right, so you heard some questions, so.
Yeah.
So you don't have curb and gutter,
We
Donnie?
don't have
That's what
curb and
you-
gutter in that area. So your road's already flat, and we've got a ditch line already for water, okay? So you're going to have to keep that ditch line, and then we're going to come in 4 more foot of asphalt. I don't know if it'll be 2 on each side or what at this point, but they're wanting us, I think the road's 18, they're wanting us to take it to 22. So,
So once you cut it in, though, I tell you what, let's be specific. Are we talking about this radius just for the?
now the radius, they're going to make us do a 30-foot radius
Okay,
to get into the commercial building, the fuel mart. And then it'll stop at, the 30-foot will stop back at their last entrance.
and when you cut that in, you're going to have a new ditch line yourself, right? Right, so that's going to
Right.
be something that's
We
completely.
ain't gonna have an issue with the turning lane. I think we can make it work. But on the other side of the turn lane, when we turn, it's a small retention area there also, so.
Okay, so,
Well, I mean, Tim, my suggestion is we let Ben and them figure this out when they come for the application. I mean, this is not, I mean.
so they could, what do
I
you
mean,
think? Do you
I mean,
want
when
us?
they come for a permit, I mean, Ben and Rachel and them will sit down with them and they'll figure out wherever that sidewalk's gonna need to go.
Ultimately, it'll be up to the county. It just, we've received clear direction that we really don't need to be building any more developments. in-
Without us, yeah, that's
Especially
where I was
commercial
going.
leaning without sidewalks, so. Sounds like a good engineering problem for Mr. Bryant to
There you
figure
go.
out.
I'm okay with that. Just a heads up, Donnie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna lean on.
I mean, I don't mind putting sidewalks in, but it's, I mean, we got some engineering issues to make it work.
Yeah. If you are comfortable committing to the sidewalks here, that's okay, and I'm fine with that, but they're gonna require you to put sidewalks in. They've kind of
Yeah,
just,
I mean, we'll commit to that because whoever purchases property will have to be buying by that. So we won't be putting, I mean, if we sell the property, it's like we do
Yeah.
residential lots.
yeah. And I get it, it's a harder thing,
Yeah.
but they'll have to work
It's very
through it.
difficult without curb and gutter, but hey.
They'll
that's what
they'll
we-
just have to work through it, I think. Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
So if I'm reading the room here, we need to add something
Yeah,
like,
we will. Hold on just a second, Gaines. Any other questions for the commissioners before we do the amendments?
I don't have any others.
I don't have a question, I have a concern, I guess. If we're talking about having At first, we were talking about sidewalks out closer to the street. If we do that, what legal position does that put the commission in if that goes through that way? I guess my concern is,
That'll be Ben and Rachel in the county.
okay,
Yeah, they'll have to work through.
It's be the county.
That shouldn't have anything with us.
Yeah.
okay.
We're
Yeah,
just putting the
another
provision
way
in.
to think of that, Mr. Starks, if I might kind of play devil's advocate a
Yes,
little bit
yes.
too, is what legal position does it put in to put a gas station there with 0 sidewalks and people have to walk in the street to get to it with no proper sidewalk construction?
Okay.
We've had several issues with that type of situation this year too, where things didn't turn out very well for pedestrians, so.
All right, thanks for the clarification.
All right.
So I
Any-
I think that's all of them.
Well, I think it is, Mr. Moore.
So, Don, would you come back up one more time? You've given an oath to tell the truth. First of all, in your general development plan, DPC number 1, you agree that the installation of the right turn lane will be installed by the developer.
Yes.
And then similarly in number 5, that the developer will also be required for the turning movement from Morgantown Road to Willoughby Lane. Will be done by the developer coordinated with the
Are you
transportation.
speaking of widen that? Is that what that's saying?
Here's what number 5 says. Turning movements from Morgantown Road onto Willoughby Lane shall be coordinated with and approved by the Transportation Cabinet. And we want to make sure that that obligation is by the developer.
Yeah, that's the turning lane, basically is what we agreed to, yes.
Okay. Then, going down to DPC number 12, as I heard the discussion, number 12 is going to read this way. Except for fuel stations and any self-storage facility, operating hours for commercial or retail businesses shall be Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yes.
And then going to the signage, you've agreed to place signage which conforms to the requirements of the zoning ordinance, 30 feet height, 150 square feet of sign facing, and that will be located near the intersection of Morgantown Road and Willoughby Lane. And I think, Rachel, you said between the setback and the frontage of the, or the,
Between the first
Building line.
entrance and the southern property corner.
do you agree
Yes.
with that? And then finally, according to my notes, we added a new number 16, which said that you have agreed to install sidewalks along the east side of Willoughby Lane according to requirements which may be established by the, what's that committee called?
Just say Warren County Public Works,
By the Warren County Public Works.
Yes.
and that will be in both sections, both sets.
Yeah, 16.
That's on one side
I'm
of the
sorry,
road. That's on
16 and
one side of the road.
One side, yeah.
18. East side, I think is what we said. Anybody else? What about exterior materials? Was there
I
more
think
to
he's
be
got
done?
a pretty good
He's got
set
that.
here. Yeah, he did a good job with that.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Cook, you need to come back up here just one more time. Now, you heard Mr. Moore. Do you agree to all the development plan conditions that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
And we'll amend, there's 2 sets, there's highway business and RM3, we'll make those changes on the road things.
All right, thank you, Gaines.
Sure, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has an opposition or questions to this request? All right. Commissioners, hearing none, I would call for a motion, please, for the proposed zoning map amendment.
I make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with the petition upon the general development docket number 2025-13ZCO. Based on the testimony and the documents presented in the public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliances with the objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request this motion to include the summary of evidence and testimonies presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Volker,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Drain,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. Planning Commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made to the legislative body to hear the item. Our next item tonight is 2025-01 TBG, New Singular Wireless PSC LLC and Municipal Communications Number 3 LLC have filed an application to approve of a wireless communication tower located a portion of property at 119 Mitch McConnell Way. The property is owned heavy industrial with the general development plan.
Yes.
Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on March the 12th for the property that you mentioned. Here is an aerial view for reference. Property is zoned, currently zoned heavy industrial. Current land use is industrial, and the future land use is industrial. We have some photos here of the site for your review, and then we have a site plan and a couple other documents for your reference that's included in your packet. And again, the applicants have filed an application for approval of a cell phone tower on the property located at 199 Mitch McConnell Way. The proposed height of the tower is 195 feet, with a total of 199 feet, including the lightning arrestor. And then looking at the bottom of the page, the proposed telecommunication tower complies with majority of the site characteristics review criteria, majority of the review criteria for site design, and meets the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. Therefore, the staff recommendation is approval pending any public hearing testimony and any discussion we might have. But that's all we have for a staff report. Can answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, any questions? All right. Is the applicant here or the representative, anything you all would like to add?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Keith Brown, Pike Legal Group.
All right, Mr. Brown, let's swear you in. Keith Brown,
Keith Brown.
your address?
Pike Legal Group, Post Office Box 369, Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
40165.
Thank you, sir. Do you have anything you would like to add?
Yes, I would like to give a short presentation. I've got some slides here. I appreciate Rachel getting it set up.
I think we are going to agree with this. If you've got something different that,
You're in a very fortunate position.
yeah. I mean, if you want to add something that,
We'll just approve it.
Well, I will tell you, I don't get this reaction everywhere. Sometimes the hearings are very long.
We get it, yeah.
Right, but here's, just the one thing I do want to say here.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Is that I do these all around the state. This is on heavy industrial property, surrounded by heavy industrial property. And this tower is going to be for AT&T and for others that might come on it. It's FirstNet capable, which it gives good options for first responders who need to use cell service in an emergency, and that is only with AT&T towers, this FirstNet network. So that's a good benefit of the tower. So with that, I could go on and on, but life is short, so we hope you will.
well, you've got to get
approve.
to Shepherdsville, Kentucky tonight, and we appreciate you driving down tonight, and I say
They're not
very-
all this easy, but you're already in industrial, so I think the stars have
Thank
aligned
you for
for
being
you.
here, very respectful of your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is there anybody tonight in the audience that has an opposition to this request or any questions? All right, Mr. Brown, thank you for being here. Commissioners will call for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed telecommunications tower application docket number 2025-1TBG based upon the testimony and document presented in this public hearing. The proposed telecommunications tower application is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed telecommunications tower application is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Volker,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Drain,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved. Planning Commission final action. Mr. Brown, thank you for being here tonight. Commissioners, we have items 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we will lump them into one motion. And so I'll read them off. 2025-14 ZB, Kevin and Marcia Kingery, owners, and the City County Planning Commission have filed an application to rezone approximately 0.18 acres located at 203 Garvin Lane from Ag to RE Residential Estate. 2025-15Z County, Frankie A. and Peggy Jo Sewell, owners, and the City County Planning Commission. The applicants have filed an application to rezone 1/10 of an acre located at 710 Crosby Road from Ag to RE Residential Estate. 2025-16Z County, MKB Real Estate Holdings LLC and the City County Planning Commission have filed an application to rezone approximately 0.8 of an acre located on Carter Road, approximately 2,400 feet southeast of Hunts Lane from RE Residential Estate to Ag. And the last one is 2025-17 Z County, R. Kent and Andrea Anderson, the owners, and Terry and Deborah Potter, owners, and the City County Planning Commission. The applicant have filed an application to rezone approximately 0.2 of an acre located at 0 and 338 Porter Pike from Ag to RE Residential Estate. Commissioners, any questions regarding these 4 cleanup items?
Hank, I know there's no one here, but do we need to say, does anybody have an objection to these being
I'll
read
ask in
together?
just a second. So, yeah, is there anybody in the audience tonight that has a opposition to this request? Here,
Or if there's anybody either on the commission or in the audience who would like to have them considered separately.
yes, thank you, Ham. Is anybody in the audience or any commissioners who would like to hear these heard separately? Thank you, Ham. So hearing none, we have just one motion to approve all. Okay. Matthew?
I make the motion to approve the proposed zone map amendment, docket number 2025-14, 15, 16, 17, ZCO. Based on the testimony and the documents presented in the public hearing, the proposed zone map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliances with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zone map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan.
Second.
Further, I request this motion to include the summary of evidence and testimonies presented in the public hearing. What I do?
Second.
Al.
Commissioner Volker,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Drain,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. All 4 amendments are Planning Commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made for the legislative body to hear the item. Our next meeting is May the 1st, and I think we got about 6 items, 6 or 7, what
Somewhere around there.
yeah, yes. And Do we have, Mr. Peterson, we have any other discussion
I'll
items?
just mention that if you haven't been able to check out the results of the What Could BG, the BG 2050 effort, to please do that. It's pretty interesting results that were obtained from that, and there's a lot to it. Once you start clicking, you'll probably look at it for several minutes anyway. But it's a lot of good information, and there'll be more on that to come. But check it out if you haven't yet.
All right. Commissioners, thank you for your service. Staff, thank you all for all you do each and every day. Mr. Moore, thank you for keeping us in line. And
Thanks for asking me to do it.
all right, we stand adjourned, and we'll see you May the 1st. Thank you, everyone.